Welcome back to On the Clock, guys. Your center for the NFL draft this year. I'm Leo, as always, with Donovan and Tyler. Today we have our mock draft 2.0. Our mock drafts now, post free agency, post all the trades. Right now, what is going on, current state of the NFL. So let's get into it right now with the first overall pick going to the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, so I had the first overall pick. We've known who this is going to be for months now. Lock it in. It's Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback out of Indiana, your Heisman winner, and like I said, we've known it for months now. And this is the Raiders getting their franchise guy. This is going to be their new leader, and it's going to kick off a new era in Las Vegas with Mendoza and Clint Kubiak, which could be a special combination in the desert. So, lock it in. It's the most obvious pick of the draft.
Pretty common knowledge for that one. All right, let's hop over to number 2 for the New York Jets' second overall pick.
Yeah, so I had the Jets pick, and they are in just a horrible place. I feel like you can probably go with any position, but if we're being honest, getting your value at the second pick, there's two guys, and ironically, they both play the same position at the same school, and that's Arvel Reese and Sonny Styles. This is post-combine, so I'm going to have them going with Sonny Styles, which is different from what I had previously. But with Aaron Glenn as this head coach, he wants playmakers, and Sonny Styles is just an athletic freak. We saw it in the combine, a great performance. And what really sold me on this pick wasn't the combine, it was the signing of Demario Davis. He played linebacker for the Jets a few years ago. He is a good player, he's a good linebacker, but he is 37 years old. He's not going to be there long, and I think he can be a mentor for Sonny Styles, who can potentially be your linebacker for years to come under head coach Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they either go Reese or Styles there, but after the combine, Styles is just an incredible athlete, and I think Styles is the right pick here for the Jets. So moving on, let's go to the Cardinals at number 3. Another pick where they can go any direction here because of their current state. But Tyler's going to tell us who they're taking for number 3.
Yeah, I have them taking Francis Malgoa, the tackle out of Miami. The Cardinals have a very big vacancy at the right tackle, and they need a permanent starter who's going to be a high floor player. And they have their first round pick from 3 years ago, Paris Johnson Jr. And at some point in time, they're going to be looking at getting a new young quarterback. You know, they just got rid of Kyler Murray. In the near future, they're going to be getting like I said, their new quarterback. So starting to build an offensive line now, getting them reps and building a good offensive line for that quarterback is going to be the best way to set them up for success in the future. So that's why I have them going with the offensive tackle out of Miami.
Yeah, love it for the Cardinals, especially if you're going to draft a future franchise quarterback since getting rid of Kyler Murray, really stack up that O-line. Moving on, number 4 overall, the Tennessee Titans. Donovan, go ahead.
I think the Titans have had one of the better off seasons in the NFL. You brought in Wan'Dale Robinson to help out Cam Ward. You brought in Jermaine Johnson. You brought in John Franklin Myers, a huge part of Denver's success up front last year on the defensive side. But most of all, you brought in Robert Saleh and Brian Daboll, two of the better coordinators, coaches, like coaching prospects we were looking at going into this offseason, and you managed to get both of them. Now it's where do you go? Do you help out Cam Ward? Or do you go on the defensive side, which is what I have them doing? Robert Saleh is the head coach. I think he's going to have the say in this. And with Arvel Reese being there at 4, I think you have to go with him. You know, he can play the edge rusher position. He can play off-ball linebacker in coverage. I think Robert Saleh is looking exactly for that, a chess piece to use on his defense. I think there's a possibility that he goes at the Jets pick and they end up taking Styles. But in terms of Reese, I think you're getting a better edge rusher in terms of him and Styles, which to pair along with Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin Myers, who you have, and then you already had Jeffrey Simmons and a few good role players, including Oladejo, who was a recent draft pick of yours. And then to also have his ability to play in coverage, because your coverage linebackers aren't great, Cedric Gray, Cody Barton. I think this is a home run pick for the Titans if he falls to 4.
Absolutely. I like it a lot with new head coach Robert Saleh, defensive-minded guy. And then with the additions to the Titans offense, Brian Daboll's going to cook with that. So I think they go defense here. I think Arvel Reese is the right decision here. Moving on, the number 5th overall pick, the New York Giants. Tyler, who are they taking?
I have the Giants taking Caleb Downs, safety out of Ohio State. The Giants have some options at safety here. They just signed Jason Pinnock and Ardarius Washington, but Caleb Downs is on another level. He's a complete football player through and through, and there's no reason the Giants should pass on him here. He would be the highest draft slot for a safety since Eric Berry 16 years ago, and you can put him in the back, and he would help create turnovers. The Giants, who only had 15 last season, which was 25th in the league, so that could help them there. And he could also help shape up a bad run defense. So he can kind of do it all, work together with these new safeties they signed. And like I said, he's just a complete football player, a complete playmaker.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it rolling here. The number 6 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns. Donovan, go ahead.
The Browns are such an interesting team to me because you look at the depth chart and it's really not horrible, right? Like, especially on the defensive side. Myles Garrett, Mason Graham, who you took 5th overall last year, Carson Schwezinger was the Defensive Rookie of the Year, Denzel Ward, JOK, if he's healthy, of course, Malik Collins. Like, you have pieces. The offense, though, especially last year, was very poor. You were cycling through quarterbacks. Eventually, you ended up with Shedeur Sanders, who is looking like they're going to roll with, which is going to impact my pick. The offensive line was very bad, but in free agency, they brought in Elton Jenkins, a new starting center. They re-signed Tevin Jenkins, the right guard. They traded for Titus Howard, a new right tackle, and they signed Zion Johnson to be their new left guard. So they basically revamped their entire offensive line. Could they still go tackle to replace DeJuan Jones at left tackle? It wouldn't surprise me, but I think in the direction they go is in Carnell Tate, the wide receiver out of, yet again, Ohio State. That's 4 players in the top 6 from
insane.
Ohio State, which is insane. But if you're going to commit to Shedeur Sanders, or even if you're not, and you're going to cycle through these quarterbacks, you have Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel, even Deshaun Watson now, I think you need to give him weapons. You have Jerry Jeudy, who is only 26. It seems like he's so much older. But outside of that, you have Cedric Tillman and Isaiah Bond. You lost David Njoku. Well, you haven't yet, but he's a free agent. And Harold Fandon, who is good. But I think you need a true wide receiver 1, a deep threat, a physical guy, someone that can stretch the field, which is what Carnell Tate gives you.
Yeah, I like it. Like you said, gotta help Shedeur. You drafted 2 quarterbacks, keep one, help them out. Absolutely there. All right, let's move on to the number 7th overall pick, the Washington Commanders. Go ahead, Tyler.
I have them taking Reuben Bain Jr., the edge rusher out of Miami. He's one of the most disruptive defensive ends in college football, total workhorse. And I think he should be the pick that Chase Young was in 2020 when they took him at 2nd overall. I think he can be disruptive there in the back, provide a solid improvement for their defense. They did just sign, I believe I'm saying this right, is it Owe? Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah,
Odafe Owe.
Owe.
Yeah, they just signed him, so he would be the primary starter, but having those 2 work alongside each other would be extremely disruptive and an insane duo for them in the back.
Yeah, I like it a lot for the Commanders. Really stack up that D-line. All right, let's move on here. We're keeping it rolling. Number 8th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints. Go ahead, Donovan.
I feel like this is kind of going to be our first shocker almost just because of where we had him mocked last time, and I really haven't seen this much. But we're looking at the Saints with the 8th overall pick. Following Kellen Moore's first year, Tyler Shuck's rookie year, I mean, obviously they're going to build around him. He was a finalist for Offensive Rookie of the Year. You brought in ETN. You have Chris Olave, not sure if he's going to stay there or not. You brought in David Edwards, a very solid starting guard for you. And on the outside, you have Kelvin Banks and Talise Fuega, 2 very young tackles that have a promising future. I think it's possible that they go on the defensive side, especially with David Bailey still here. But given Kellen Moore's impact, we know what he can do with a solid offense. We were looking at Jeremiah Love a little bit. Now you have Etienne and Kamara. I'm going to have them going with Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC. We had him going 21 to the Steelers last time. I think we kind of knew he wasn't really going to drop there. But now we have him going 8th overall. This gives Tyler Shuck another weapon outside of Olave, but this guy's going to be a lot more underneath, maybe a little slot receiver. He's great after the catch. He's a fantastic route runner. I think this is a huge step in the right direction for a Saints team that can possibly compete for an NFC South division title because it is a fairly weak division.
Absolutely, you hit on the head. I think Lemon also made a real name for him at the Combine.
Yeah.
Really boosted his stock. Like, as you said, we had him at 21, but we know he wasn't going to be there. But to make it into the top 10 is really good for Lemon here, really boosted draft stock. And I think he can be really beneficial for Kellen Moore's offense for the Saints. Let's keep it rolling here. The number 9 overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs. Go ahead, Tyler.
I have them staying on the defensive side of the ball now that they addressed their issue at running back. They got Kenneth Walker in free agency, so they're obviously not going to be going for Jeremiah Love. So I have them taking David Bailey, linebacker out of Texas Tech. Like I said, they'll address the defense side of the ball, and I think he's going to fit right in with Spagnuolo's defense with his versatility. And then another one of those situations, like I said, with Washington, having a crazy duo by pairing him alongside Chris Jones is going to be an elite pass rush duo and situation. It's like I can't see them passing up on him, and I think they'll address their other defensive needs with their newly acquired first-round pick later.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. To the number 10 overall pick, exiting the top 10 here. It's the Cincinnati Bengals, so Donovan's got that for us.
Well, it's no question they're going to go defense. It was one of the worst units in the league right now, and you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, like a very stacked offense in terms of skill position. And I think when you look at the offensive line, which could also be an issue, you just extended Orlando Brown. You drafted Amarius Mims very recently, and the interior isn't great, but Dylan Fairchild, Ted Karras, they're not horrible, right? So you're going to have to look to the defensive side, where they have in free agency, right? You brought in Boye Mafe, a Super Bowl champion from the Seahawks last year. You brought in Jonathan Allen, a veteran defensive tackle that might still have some left in the tank, and Brian Cook, another Chiefs defender that they lost that Tyler just touched on. So I think you still have to touch on the defensive side because they still have holes. And for me, that's specifically at corner. You have Dax Hill, and outside of that, it's DJ Turner, Jalen Davis. I mean, really not names you're looking at. What seems to be the consensus overall corner one is Mansour Delane out of LSU. He's going to fit the LSU culture there with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think he's going to come in and probably be their corner one right away. If Jermon McCoy was healthy, obviously we'll touch on him. It might be him. But given that the Bengals are fit to compete now, they're fit to win, and with an AFC North division that also could be sort of open after this weird offseason for all four of those teams, you're going to need a corner that can step in right away and play. And we know that's Mansour Delane. I think that would be a great addition to the defense they've already started working on this offseason.
Mm-hmm. I like it a lot. Like, as you said, Bengals defense was atrocious last year, so bringing in the secondary help will help them greatly. Really take the weight off Joe Burrow's shoulders not to carry his offense and score 60 points and still win a game.
Yeah.
And still lose a game, sorry.
I
All right, so now we have the number 11 overall pick, Miami Dolphins. This pick is the most frustrating pick ever probably, but Tyler's going to give us some analysis of who the Dolphins are going to take in their very confusing pick here.
Yes, this one was a bit of a tough one. I mean, they could really go anywhere now. They're in a complete full rebuild now. And with Mansour Delane going right before them as our cornerback one, I have them taking Jermon McCoy, the second cornerback out of this draft out of Tennessee. And like I said, they're just in a full rebuild right now. They traded away almost everybody. They got rid of Tua. They just traded Jalen Waddle today. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick. They literally got rid of everybody, so I have them trying to improve their secondary, and that's the area of need I'm going with for them on this pick.
I like it a lot. I mean, they're in a rebuild, so just best man available for them really help their secondary.
Rebuild to the extreme, dude. They're just tearing it down.
They completely cleaned house.
I mean, I'll be interested to see if A-Chain doesn't request a trade out of there because
That's
he's in the prime
their
of his
only-
career right now.
Their only player they have left.
No, seriously, dude.
Dolphins downfall. But yeah, I mean, they just got rid of Jalen Waddle today, too. So.
Yeah, I mean, Waddle, Tyreek, too.
What are we
Everyone's
doing?
going.
What are we doing, Miami? Anyway.
It was time.
Let's move on to the number 12 overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to stay on the defensive side for this one.
As much as I hate to say it, I do think the Cowboys are in a very good position heading into the draft. They brought back 10 of their 11 offensive starters, which is one of the top units in the entire league last year. Pickens is, I still believe, on that franchise tag, unless I'm just forgetting a big deal that he signed, which I don't think I am. And the only starter you lost was Jalen Tolbert, your wide receiver 3. So their offense is in a fantastic position, and you have 2 first-round picks. I don't think they're going to – if they address offense at all, I really doubt it'll be with that first pick, unless they surprise some people, maybe go Jeremiah Love, which we discussed the idea of. But after the Javonte Williams extension, we're not thinking that at all. I think it's got to be on the defensive side. It was their struggle last year. When you look at the defensive line, though, you got Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams on the inside. You got Donovan Azarake, the rookie last year, Demarion Overshawn, and they just traded for Rashawn Gary. That's going to be a really solid defensive line, especially as a pass rush. I think the main concerns are the linebacker unit, specifically the off-ball linebackers and the secondary. And again, they have 2 first-round picks, so we're going to touch on both of them actually. Here, we're going to have them going with C.J. Allen, the linebacker out of Georgia. And this might be a little high on him, but we see teams reach on guys like that, specifically off-ball linebackers, when it's a huge position of need. And I think a green dot linebacker that can come in and start right away, because you have like Shamar James and Maurice Lafu out of Notre Dame. He was a rookie a few years ago. He's decent, but I still think it's one of the biggest needs, and I think it would be a little bit of a reach, more of a reach to go on with a corner here at 12, which is why we're going to have them going with C.J. Allen. He's a playmaker. He's a good run stuffer, and he'll be a great addition to that Dallas defense that they're slowly building up.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's keep rolling. Number 13 overall pick, the Los Angeles Rams. This one, just because where we had them in our first mock draft, maybe a little bit of a shakeup, but Tyler's going to talk to us about this one.
Yeah, I have the Rams taking Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. I think this pick's going to make the Rams offense almost unstoppable. He's one of the most athletic combine performers we saw, 4.39 second 40-yard dash, 43.5-inch vertical, and all that for a 241-pound player. His athleticism is insane, and for the plays Sean McVay can build around him are going to be insane as well. And like I said, the Rams like to play with multiple tight ends on the field, so Sadiq's going to force defensive coordinators to make insane choices on how to try and match up with their personnel, which just isn't going to work. I think this pick will make the Rams have one of the best offenses maybe of all time. This would be really, really a really big threat for any team to go up against.
Oh, of all time.
Greatest show
yeah,
on
greatest
turf.
show on
Greatest
turf.
show.
again.
2.0.
If Stafford can have another MVP type season, and then they have like I said, these 2 tight ends, it would be insane.
Yeah.
I like it, though. I think you just bring an athlete in that can catch the passes, make plays all over the fields. So I really like this move.
Absolutely disgusting offense.
Yeah,
I don't even want to think about that.
And they have the Super Bowl at home this year too.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
they do.
They could be
That's
playing
where
at
they won
home
it last
again.
time, too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll
History
see.
repeats itself.
All right, we're going to move into the number 14 overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to take this one since I am a Ravens fan. When we first did our mock draft, my concern for the Ravens was D-line because the loss of Justin Madubuike, potentially, but now he is coming back, hopefully. I don't think retirement is imminent for him. But then we also did sign Trey Hendrickson after the Max Crosby fallout trade, and then that gave us our 14th overall pick back. And plus, we hired Jesse Minter as our new coach, and he's a very defensive-minded guy. So I am not concerned about the defense anymore. I was concerned about center because we did lose our amazing center, Tyler Linderbaum, but there are no centers in this draft that are first-round worthy. But we did just sign a center, Danny Pinter, so now I'm really not worried anymore. So I think this pick, we just take next best guy available, and I think that'll be Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. He's really going to help Lamar out, paired alongside with Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a shorter guy, but Tyson like 6'2"?
Yeah.
Tyson's a huge guy. Can really, Lamar can throw the jump ball, the threat downfield. So I like to slot, really boost the offense. And since we did lose Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler, 2 of our good tight ends, just adds more fluff to our passing game with the departure of those tight ends.
More fluff.
More
I
fluff.
like
More
that
fluff,
analogy.
yeah.
More fluff.
All right. Let's move on to the number 15 overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tyler's got that for us.
I have the Buccaneers taking Keldrick Falk, the edge rusher out of Auburn. The Buccaneers can expand their pass rush profile with this pick, and they need help rushing the passer. They got shut out in free agency, and Falk has the length that the team likes, and I just think that after not getting what they wanted in free agency at this position, he could be the one to step up for them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think the pass rush could help the Bucs a lot here, since they were like the best team, first 6 weeks of the season, and
Even
then
further than that, I'd say
completely fell
probably
off.
9 or 10
Yeah,
weeks.
and
After
then-
that Seahawks win.
and then they just fell off. So I think the pass rush can help them here. All right, Number 16 overall pick is the New York Jets via the Indianapolis Colts because of the Sauce Gardner trade. And this one they got a star draft in here. Donovan, go ahead.
All right, Notre Dame fans, calm down. He's going off the board. I'm with you. If he somehow drops to the 16th overall pick without someone trading up for him, I will be absolutely astonished. We didn't do trades in our mock draft, so this is kind of just where he fell. We have the Jets taking Jeremiah Love. Is he their biggest position of need? No. He's actually one of the positions that they don't really need. They have Breece Hall, but he's playing on a franchise tag. I think there's a high possibility that we see Breece Hall get moved for a day 2 or a day 3 pick, and they take Jeremiah Love if he is somehow at the 16th overall pick. I've talked about him so many times. I've talked about talking about him so many times on this show. He is a generational talent. I don't just throw that phrase out. He is a generational talent at running back. I don't think he's going to drop to 16. I think if he really drops past 10, we probably see a team trade up for him. He's that good. But with the Jets going Sonny Styles with their first pick, which is 2nd overall, I think they go offense with the 2nd pick, and Love's the pick right there.
Yeah, I really don't think he's going to drop to 16 either. I think someone's going to trade up for him. Even if they're okay with their run game, he is still Jeremiah Love. Yeah. I like that graphic. But he is still generational running back, so I think a team will just trade him because he is there, because he's on the board. So I think he's not going to go 16. He'll enter the top 10 most likely.
Look out for a sneaky Seattle trade after losing
definitely. Kenneth
Walker and Zach Charbonnet out most of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, if he's there at 16, Seattle moves up for him, offense be even better than it was last year.
Definitely. All right, let's keep it rolling. Number 17 overall pick, the Detroit Lions. Go ahead, Tyler.
The Lions have targeted needs along their offensive line and in the secondary during the first week of free agency. And with that being said, I think the one position that they're going to want to go for is the edge rushing position. And I have them taking Akeem Mesidor out of Miami. They still have a need at the defensive end position on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson. And they just lost one of their veteran players to the Buccaneers on a 1-year contract. So I have them taking Mesidor here. I think he's going to be a good fit. He'll work great opposite of Hutchinson. And like I said, they pretty much got everywhere else or targeted the needs they needed everywhere else during free agency. So this is one of their positions that they can improve on in the draft.
Yeah, another team that had sort of a down year last year, so I think another edge paired with Hutchinson, like you said, will really help them out here. Let's stay in the NFC North for the next pick. Number 18 overall, the Minnesota Vikings. Go ahead, Donovan.
I'm not really sure the Vikings know where they're at as a franchise, and I don't really either. I think the roster, for the most part, is somewhat able to contend at least for a division title and a playoff berth, at least, I would say. But you brought in Kyler Murray only on a 1-year deal, which kind of confused me because you're not committing to him. You're not committing to McCarthy by doing that. And if Kyler Murray goes out and plays super well with these weapons and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, then you got to pay him a lot of money, and I think they kind of cooked themselves by doing that. And if he's bad, then you just roll with McCarthy. So it's a weird situation on the offense, and I think they kind of leave that as it be because the secondary is an issue for them as a whole. It wasn't great last year, and then you lost a huge identity, a huge franchise piece, and Harrison Smith retiring. So I have them selecting Dylan Thieneman. He's the safety out of Oregon, whose draft stock has raised tremendously after the Combine. And I think this is a sort of similar to Harrison Smith, a guy that can play that hybrid safety role, whether he is playing deep safety, he can play in the box, even in the slot a little bit. And I think he brings a new culture, identity, a new franchise cornerstone to your secondary to pair along with guys like Josh Metellus, Isaiah Rodgers, Byron Murphy Jr. And at that point, you can compete for a spot in the NFC North, bearing that he, plays worthy of the 18th overall pick.
Yep. I mean, as you said when we were going over the episode yesterday, replacing Harrison Smith with a Harrison Smith.
Yeah, basically.
But I like it. I like it for the Vikings. Like, as you said, no one really knows where the Vikings are right now. So
I feel like they really have the roster to contend. I mean, if McCarthy came out and played like Sam Darnold the year before, they were 14-3. Like, he just didn't do that.
Yeah, but I think I think you just got to focus on your key departure and just focus on replacing him.
Yeah.
That's what they got to do right now. Moving on to the number 19 overall pick, the Carolina Panthers. Go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, I have the Panthers snagging Emmanuel McNeil-Warren here, the safety out of Toledo. Their 2025 season was a big step in the right direction for the Panthers, but I don't think they're not like they're ready to keep going. And they signed Jalen Phillips in free agency. It was one of the biggest signings of free agency, and they continued to build their roster. And I think he's another big building block for their unit. He would be a huge help on defense in that secondary. The offense doesn't really need much help, so taking this here, pairing with what they've already been building on their defense, I think is going to be really good for them and keep them building towards becoming a maybe Super Bowl contender in the next couple of years.
I'm very excited to see what the Panthers do in the future. I'm a big Panthers believer. I like what they did last season. Really turned in the right direction, as you said. But I'm very excited for what the Panthers have in store. All right, entering the last half, the first round, we have the number 20 overall pick. It is the Dallas Cowboys, their second pick of this first round. Donovan, go ahead.
Well, I talked about it before. Their biggest needs were linebacker and corners. We addressed linebacker. Let's address corner. You get Avion Terrell at the 20th overall pick. I think that's very good value. He is a guy, especially early on, I was very high on. He gave me early vibes of what I liked out of Quinyon Mitchell a few years ago going into the draft. He's quick. He's really good in man coverage. And I think he's going to fall a little bit further than he should. I actually liked him a little bit more than I liked Mansour Delane going into the draft process. That's shift a little bit, and McCoy is still my one. But I think the value you're getting in Terrell at 20 is very good if you're, a Dallas Cowboys fan or player, whatever. And I think this solidifies a very good defensive offseason and sort of offseason and season because you brought in Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, Rashawn Gary, Donovan Ezerake, Jalen Thompson, C.J. Allen, and now, according to our mock draft, Avion Terrell. That is a complete revamp of your defense and a very scary squad for all the teams in the NFC East, which really feel like any could compete at this point.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what them boys can do. Maybe they will actually beat them boys this year. Who knows?
No, they won't be.
All right. Now moving on, 21 overall, we have Tyler's Pittsburgh Steelers here. Tyler, go ahead.
So no matter what the Steelers plan to do here, they're not going to take a quarterback in the first round. Mendoza's off the board, and there's no other quarterback worthy of a day one pick here. And we don't know what they're doing with quarterback, and I don't think they do either. Are we bringing Aaron Rodgers back or not? I ultimately think they will. And even if they don't, and you have Will Howard as your starter, with this pick here, you cannot pass up on Vega Ione, the offensive lineman out of Penn State. They have to try and replace Isaac Seumalo. He signed with the Cardinals, and Ione is like one of the best guards in the class, and he has the power to move pass rushers out of the way, and he didn't give up any sacks last year for Penn State, and so I can't see the Steelers passing up on him if he's here. Help build that line for whatever quarterback you decide to stick back there, whether it's really young Will Howard or really old Aaron Rodgers.
What about Ty Simpson?
That won't be happening. He won't be on. He will not be a Pittsburgh Steeler ever.
I don't know. It's not what I've been hearing.
I mean, yeah. I mean, what do they say? The best in PA stay in PA. So, I mean, if he's there, I think the Steelers should take it. I don't like it, but whatever. Good for the Steelers. All right, number 22 overall. I'm going to take this one. Los Angeles Chargers. I have them taking Cassius Howell, the edge out of Texas A&M, mainly because Tui Pilotu was their sack leader last year with 13, and right below him was Odafe Owe, but he is now gone. He has gone to Washington in free agency. But Jesse Minter really developed Tui Pilotu into a really solid presence off the edge. So I think if you pair Cassius Howell on the other side of the line with him, it'll be a really good outcome for the Chargers, really boost their pass rush. So I think if Cassius Howell is there, you take him. I was going to put O-line here, but I think they're all right with O-line. They're getting their two stud tackles back, Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater. So I think they'll be okay with the O-line. So I think an edge rusher, Cassius Howell, is the move here for the Chargers.
I'm just going to add on that real quick. I think Tui Pilotu, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
Probably had the quietest 13 sack season that I've ever heard of.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Yeah, what a guy. Tuli, and what a name, too.
Tuli
Tuipulotu. Anyway, uh, number 23 overall, moving on. Donovan's Philadelphia Eagles. Go ahead.
Let's do it. Well, we talked about a lot for this Eagles offseason, both on the Clock and 215 Sports Show, which I do with Jack Morgan every Wednesday. Quick plug. But free agency was a big question for them. They didn't have too much cap. Nakobe Dean has departed. Jalen Phillips, which Tyler just discussed, has departed, as well as Reed Blankenship. There's a lot of holes on defense. They brought in Tariq Woolen. They brought in Hollywood Brown this morning, and just a few other names. I actually don't have it pulled up for some reason because I thought I could do it off the top of my head. They re-signed Dallas Goedert. I think that was a big point of emphasis for this team. He's a big culture piece. He's been here since 2018. They brought him back only on a one-year deal, which is okay because he hasn't had a fully healthy season since 2018, and he's 31. I'll be interested to see if they're doing more of a long-term deal, sort of. And you extended Jordan Davis, so there's kind of moving pieces all around. Outside of McNeil Warren, I don't think there's a safety worth taking at 23. Obviously, you have to address it somewhat, probably in the second round or the third round at the very least. Where I have them going is actually on the offense, which is kind of surprising. I have them going with Spencer Fano, the tackle out of Utah. He's very versatile. He played left tackle and right tackle. And obviously, he's not going to come in and start right away with Mailata and Lane Johnson unless they decide to put him at guard. I just mentioned he's very versatile, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. If they do, it would kind of surprise me. I think what they have him do is just sit the first year, learn under Lane Johnson, and following Lane Johnson's retirement, you now have your tackle of the future in Spencer Fano. In the first mock draft we did, I had them taking Caden Proctor. The reason for the switch is, one, Fano was, I think, the 6th overall pick in that first mock draft, and now he's here at 23.
Yeah.
But second, Caden Proctor is just way too raw to be developed by anyone other than Jeff Stoutland, worth taking at 23. So I think he's going to go later on, and I think that's fine. I just think that would be a bit of a reach to take at 23 when you don't have a guy like Stoutland who you know is going to be able to develop him.
I like it a lot, especially as a replacement for Lane Johnson. Let's keep rolling here. Number 24 overall pick, the Cleveland Browns. Other pick of the first round. Go ahead, Tyler.
This pick would be a dream scenario for the Browns if he's there. I have them taking Monroe Freeling, the tackle out of Georgia. This would be a great draft already for the Browns. If, according to our mock, they have Carnell Tate, and then they get help on the line too, which is one of the biggest problems for them last year. If they can pick him up, this is really going to be the best possible outcome. If you're rolling with Shedeur as your starting quarterback, you're really going to give him talent around him. Finally, he'll have a deep threat downfield in Carnell Tate. He'll now have a good tackle on his line. He won't be running around the whole time. So if they can land this pick, if he's there, they have to take it. We saw he was one of the best risers after the draft combine. He proved himself. So getting this pick, getting Tate and potentially Freeling now in the first round would be huge for the Browns and big for Shedeur as well.
I think the other reason that would be a dream scenario is because a lot of mocks have him going at 6 to the Browns with their first pick. So if that doesn't happen, he falls to, 24? That is a dream scenario, man.
It's everyone in the AFC North's looking up, but whatever. It's fine. I don't care. Next, we have number 25 overall, the Chicago Bears. I'm going to take this one. I have them selecting Caden McDonald, the defense lineman out of Ohio State. Last year, Montez Sweat was their sack leader with 10 sacks. Very solid, though. But I think you just need someone to put right next to Sweat that would really transform the Bears' pass rush, really build up that defense. They had some key departures in their secondary, Jaquan Brisker, which would really diminish their secondary along with Kevin Byard. But I think if you build the pass rush, it would really help, and you could put really anyone in the secondary in that case, because if people are getting home to the quarterback, it would cause balls to be batted up, not go on target. So I think if you stack that defensive line for the Bears, it would really help and really take some weight off of Montez Sweat as well, so he doesn't have to do all the work himself. And also McDonald can learn under Sweat because he is a dominant defensive lineman in the league. So I think McDonald here is a safe pick for the Bears. Let's move on here. Number 26, the Buffalo Bills. Donovan's got this one.
I do. And they had a few departures this offseason. They traded Teron Johnson, who I think they were going to cut anyway. They lost David Edwards in free agency. But they also brought in some people. They brought in Bradley Chubb. They brought in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They brought in Geno Stone. They brought in DJ Moore in a trade that cost them an arm and a leg. So they have a few. They have a lot to work with, right? Obviously, they're one of the best teams in the league. I don't have them going offense. I think there's a possibility you could take a receiver, Concepcion, Denzel Boston, even Chris Bell. But with the addition of DJ Moore, the money you're paying Shakir, and the draft capital you spent on Keon Coleman, as well as Josh Palmer just being a decent third or fourth wide receiver, I think they pass on that at least for now and look more towards the defensive side, where secondary could be a huge emphasis. It wouldn't surprise me if they took a guy like Brandon Cisse or D'Angelo Pons with this pick. But I have them going in the trenches here, and actually as a defensive tackle with Caleb Banks out of Florida. The Bills have put a lot of emphasis on defensive tackle in the draft these past few years. They took Dwayne Carter a few years ago in the first round, and then last year they took Deion Walker and T.J. Sanders, and now I have them going with Caleb Banks. Not to say none of them didn't turn out great, because it's a solid rotation, but I think when you can add someone as physical and as explosive as Caleb Banks at 26 to really help that run defense, but most importantly as a pass rusher from the interior, I don't think you can pass up on that when you don't have any huge holes or any obvious players that you just have to take with the 26th overall pick.
I like for the Bills, just stack the trenches like the Bears pick above. Just build those trenches up, and that's where you start from. Let's move on. Number 27 overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers. Go ahead, Tyler.
So I have the 49ers, and they're going to need significant reinforcements for their offense this offseason. Right now we have Juwan Jennings, who is testing the free agency market. Nobody's picked him up yet, so we don't know if he's going to return there. George Kittle's recovering from a ruptured Achilles. McCaffrey is aging, and he's always a big injury risk. And then their top receiving option heading into this season is likely Ricky Pearsall, who has been struggling to stay healthy ever since getting to the NFL. So this is why I have them picking up Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Adding him in the first round would give them a good high-end option who can create separation, and they're going to really need that. And it will also, like I said, boost that offense, which had some departures, some guys coming off injury, other guys that you are always a wild card with the injury. So I think picking him up is going to really boost their offense, or at least help boost it a little bit, because they have some big issues heading into the season.
The 49ers did sign Mike Evans, but then again, it's old Mike Evans, and he was injured for most of last year's season. But maybe he can have a little resurgence in San Francisco, but I highly doubt that. But then, as you said, you have Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall now as your receivers. So I think bring in Concepcion, can really stack their receiving core, add some weapons for Brock Purdy to boost the 49ers offense.
I saw a thing. It was like Mike Evans on the Niners is going to be like one of those washed memes,
guys,
like Kevin Garnett on the Nets.
Q outstanding. Next up, number 28 overall pick, the Houston Texans. Go ahead, Donovan.
I've honestly been very impressed with the Texans' off-season so far. It was a huge point of emphasis to address the offensive line, which they did tremendously. They signed Braden Smith, the right tackle from the Colts. Just today, a few hours before this, they signed Wyatt Teller, a guard. You'll see why I'm saying it like that in a minute. They brought in Evan Brown. They brought back Ed Ingram. And on the defensive side of the ball, they brought in Reed Blankenship, a playmaker from the Eagles. But I think you still stick with the offensive line. You reach a little bit, but at the 28th overall pick, you're just taking, you're not looking for best available, or maybe you are, I don't know. But I have them taking Emmanuel Pregnon, a guard out of Oregon. I think there's still a possibility he starts at left guard over Evan Brown, or maybe even at center at Jake Andrews, because they got rid of Juice Scruggs as well as Titus Howard to the Browns, which you mentioned before. They're kind of just revamping their whole line. Two vets on the right side, Ursary on the left, who they just drafted very recently. And I think the left guard and center are still in question. Pregnon can look for a starting role there. He might be an early second-round pick. I'm reaching a little bit, but I think it's just such a point of emphasis in a time period where you can contend if you're the Texans that you can't pass up on them. because he's not going to be there in your second round.
Yeah.
When you're picking.
I mean, Pregnon he's not really ranked in the first round, but then again, he is the next best guard in this draft. So I think if you're the Texans, you just got to take the next best guard, which is Pregnon. So I like it a lot for the Texans here.
And I don't think it's crazy to take
Yeah, it's
him at
not
20.
crazy.
Like he's
Absolutely
going to be
not.
right
Absolutely
around
not.
late first round, early second round. So.
Absolutely not. Let's move on here. The number 29 is the Kansas City Chiefs, their second one of the first round because of the Trent McDuffie trade. So Tyler's got this one for us.
So like I said earlier with their first pick in the first round, I said later on they would address the cornerback vacancy that has been made because of the Trent McDuffie trade, and this is where I have them going with Colton Hood, the cornerback out of Tennessee, the second Tennessee quarterback off the board in the first round too. I think it's a no-brainer. They're going to have to take a cornerback in the first round, especially with the talent that there is on that position in this class, and you gotta fill that gap that was created from the Trent McDuffie trade, and using the pick that you got to do that would be a good start.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Now we have the number 30 overall pick that before we recorded this morning, it was the Broncos, but they traded for Jalen Waddle. So now the Dolphins have the number 30 overall pick, and Donovan's got this one for us.
This pick just sucks even more than their first one, which we already don't like. But you brought in Malik Willis, and I believe you have to build around him, which they're not doing. They just traded away their best receiving weapon in Jalen Waddle. And it's just a weird pick because, I don't know, you got a first, a third, and a fourth. And I just have them replacing Jalen Waddle here with Denzel Boston, the receiver out of Washington. So it's like you're trading Waddle for Denzel Boston, a third and a fourth. When you put it like that, it doesn't sound, as great as it does with a first, third, and a fourth. But it just, I don't know where else you would go because you have other needs. But you signed Malik Willis, and while he signed a 3-year contract, I believe his leash is short. He's only started a handful number of games in the past season. So if he goes out there and they get 2 or 3 wins all season and he only has 2,400 passing yards, they can't be mad when they're surrounding him with Jalen Tolbert and Tutu Atwell as their top receiver, I guess, and Malik Washington. So it's just kind of a weird move. They're in such a rebuild state, so it's a good thing they didn't pay Malik Willis as much as he was expected to get. But yeah, I'm just going to have them replacing Jalen Waddle here with Denzel Boston. It wouldn't surprise me if they went somewhere else. That's just where I have them going here.
Yeah. I mean, it's like that one meme. Valentine, that is not the shot.
That is not the shot.
Dolphins, what are we doing? That is not the shot. Anyway, all right. Last 2 picks here on the Super Bowl teams that we have here. Number 31 overall, the New England Patriots. Go ahead, Tyler.
So the Patriots' offensive line, as we all saw in the Super Bowl, clearly needed some help on the line, and Drake May had absolutely zero time in that game. He was just getting bullied and under pressure the entire game. So this is why I have them picking up Caden Proctor, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. He's going to give May some more protection and maybe some more time in the pocket. We should see. He can work alongside Will Campbell because Will Campbell got shredded in that game as well. Their whole line did. So I think this is where they need to go. They got rid of Stephon Diggs. They signed Romeo Doubs. So I have them going offensive line here to help build up that protection for their franchise quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just atrocious in the Super Bowl. So I think offensive line is the right move here. All right, last pick of Mock Draft 2.0. Donovan, send us home with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, well, they just won the Super Bowl with a great defense and a great run game, and they lost Kenneth Walker, so they have to go running back here, right? Wrong. I have them going Brandon Cisse, the corner out of South Carolina. I just thought their secondary was a huge, huge, huge part of not just their Super Bowl run, but all season long was so good. And then you lost Kobe Bryant to the Bears. You lost Tariq Woolen to my Eagles. And you have a lot of spots open. You have Ty Okada right now starting at safety. Now, they did sign Noah Igbenogany, who is a former first-round pick. But he's a corner. He's not great. I know Brandon Cisse is a corner, too. You have Josh Jobe, who is actually very good this year and horrible with his time at the Eagles. And then you have, obviously, Nicky Manwari, Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love. It's a great unit. I think you can just add to it and get better here. Again, you're at the 32nd pick. I think that's a reach on Emmett Johnson or Jadarian Price. And I think Cisse can bring another skill set of versatility for the secondary, along with Eamon Wari, and just I think he would fit that Mike McDonald culture, energy so well. He's a hard hitter, a playmaker, and I think this would be a fantastic addition to, what are they calling it, the no-fly zone? No.
What was it? Legion of...
No, it wasn't. No, Legion of Boom was the first
Sorry.
Seahawks. Right.
I-
They're no, and
Like
No
I'm
Fly
back.
Zone was the Broncos in like 2013. They're calling it something. I wish someone would look it up.
You got it right there.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Seahawks secondary name.
Okay.
No, it's just showing us Legion of Boom again.
Dark side.
the
That's what they're
dark side,
calling it.
yes,
He would
the-
fit that dark side defense very well, and I wouldn't be surprised if they went running back or if they traded for Brees Hall, who we talked about earlier,
I mean,
or if they just roll with Emmanuel Wilson and George Halani.
I don't think so. Seahawks.
Not if they want to keep contending.
Seahawks, you got it. I have faith in you. I know you're watching. You have my belief. All the Seahawks. All right. Anything else, guys, for this episode?
I think that's all.
Not besides the fact that the Colts just signed a Notre Dame basketball forward to play tight end.
Who?
I don't know. I lost it. It was some dude. If that helps.
It can't be that important.
It was some guy. If that helps. If
That
helps
narrows
at
it
all.
down.
Colts signed some guy.
Colts signed some guy that played basketball at Notre Dame to come play tight
I
end.
mean, Mo Alley Cox played
Yeah, he did.
basketball, and he's pretty solid. But whatever. All right, that's
VCU,
it.
Isn't he?
Mo Alley.
No, Ellie Cox. VCU. No? Am I making that
You
up?
spelled that wrong.
That's fine, bro.
Really bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he went to VCU. Shout out the A10.
All right, that's going to do it for Mock Draft 2.0. We will be back next week. What are we doing next week? What do we got on the agenda?
We'll
figure it
get
out.
Figure it
something
out.
going.
We'll surprise you guys.
We'll be back
All
with top 10.
That's going to do it for On the Clock this week. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week.